Welcome to the App or Not to App podcast with the App Man, Jeremy Callahan, where we talk about why apps are not a luxury item and are essential to your business success. I've been in the mobile industry for over 20 years, and the question I always get is to app or not to app. Definitely, you must app. Mobile apps can help your business reduce costs, increase leads, and reduce manpower. An app is not a luxury item, it's a necessity. So let's get started making you money.
Hey, Jeremy Callahan, and welcome to the show this week. And the topic this week is app development in 9 steps. So I'm going to give you kind of my high-level 9 steps that basically any app development project is going to go through. So it doesn't matter if you're a project manager, you're just a business that has a mobile app idea, you're looking to hire somebody, you have an internal team, you're a large corporation. These are the 9 steps that anybody's going to have to do within any app development project. So the number one thing in any app development project, and we always start with an idea, right? Somebody in your organization right now has an idea for an app, you have an idea for an app, and so the first thing you do is, well, you try to figure out what to do next. And so the second thing, no matter what you do in any project, is you need to prototype, okay? You need to prototype. So let's write it down. Okay, you're gonna prototype your idea. You're gonna actually take your pen and put it to paper. You could do a whiteboard. You could get your teams involved. You could do a number of things, but you need to put pen to paper. And there's a few steps, I'll talk about them right now, that you need to do to effectively prototype. So the first thing you need to do is define the problem you're gonna solve, right, when you're prototyping. So a lot of people think prototyping is like everything the app's going to do, you know, like it could be doing 200 things that the app's ultimately going to do, or your project's ultimately going to do. Now, to get something out to market, you got to step back and do what we call the MVP. MVP is the minimum viable product. So the first thing you want to do is figure out the problem you're solving, and then you want to figure out what is the minimum thing that we can develop to solve that problem. For instance, we're working on a golf app right now. The golf app has music. There's tones within the music of when to start your swing, when to get to the top, and when to make impact. So by listening to music, you can hit the ball straighter, longer, farther, better. Have perfect rhythm, tempo, and timing. So for the MVP, well, it turns out when we started looking at the swing, there was longer clubs, drivers through. If you're not a golfer, just follow along. There's the longer clubs like your driver, where you want to hit the ball further. Then as you get closer to the green, you use other clubs, your irons, your mid-irons, and your wedges. There's a different tempo and rhythm for that. And then when you putt, there's a different rhythm for that. So as we started creating this music, and I forgot, there's 4 tempos for each one of those. So you have 4 times 3 is 12. So we're already at 12 tempos and timings and rhythms per song. So each song we have to do 12 times. Now you can start to see this, right? 12, if we wanted 24 songs, 24 times 12. I am no good at math. I'm not even going to attempt to do 24 times 12, but whatever that number is what we were looking to do. So we knew we couldn't do all that. We have some limited funds as far as how much we're going to pay the musicians, so we had to scale it back. So the first thing we did was we said, and again, we're putting this out there. We love the idea. We've test marketed it, but what if it doesn't take off, right? So from an MVP perspective, minimum viable product, what can we get out there? What can we get in front of people that they can test and like it? And then if they want to, we'll add other stuff. So what we did is we're just doing the long irons and the wedges, or the longer clubs and the wedges, and we'll leave the putting out and some of the chipping and the putting to version 2. So that's what we're doing with the MVP. So whatever your product is, you need to step back a little bit and think, what's the minimum thing we can get out in front of people for them to test? By the way, if you are looking for how to prototype, and this could apply to any product, but I have a free ebook on my website, jeremycallahan.com. Look for the free ebook. It's called 5 Days to a Prototype. And I just broke a prototype, what you need to do to make an effective prototype, down into 5 steps. You could maybe do them faster than 5 days. It might take you longer depending on what you're trying to do. But these are the 5 steps. First one is considerations, MVP. What are you going to do? And then defining a problem, okay? And so ultimately, the next thing we're going to do is we need what we call avatars. Avatars. Customer avatars, as they're known. So what we want to do is we want to define our ideal customer, the ideal person that's going to use our product. And by doing that, we can, see, the reason we want to define this up front before we've done any development in the prototype stage is because we have an idea, we have a problem. Now we are going to identify a specific customer, and the more specific, the better. So then that way, when we actually go to market, we know exactly, number one, we know who we're building it for. And then number 2, we know exactly who we're going to market it to. So these are some important steps that you want to do, okay? So once you have the avatars, and again, I'm doing high-level stuff here today. That 5-day prototype book has in-depth stuff of what you want to do for a customer avatar. You could Google what an avatar is, customer avatar is. You could do a design thinking workshop where you get all the people in your company or the stakeholders of the product in your company to come together, and you do a workshop where you actually come up with the problem, come up with the MVP, come up with the customer avatars, all this stuff. So this is just high level stuff. This is the big 9 steps to develop a mobile app, but you can see that each one of these is very complex, and we're just hitting them at a high level to give you good information today. So then the final step on the prototype is to create some UX. UX stands for user experience. So I could literally, on this wall right here, I'll show you what we could do for UX. Okay. Buy. Right? These could be 2 app screens right here. And we could just have a number of app screens that we draw out. So we could create kind of this prototype UX flow of user experience, how people will ultimately flow through our app. Now, getting back to, hate to plug it again, but the 5-day prototype book, I actually have a website I use. It's called Ionic Creator, and then you can get a free account there. And it's literally a website where you drag and drop. It's got a phone in the middle of it. And on one side, it's got buttons and links and things, and you drag them and you put them on the phone, and then you hit publish, and you can actually send it to your cell phone and look at the app on your phone, click through it and everything. So if you need help with prototyping or any of this stuff, obviously get in touch with me. So those are kind of the things that you want to start doing, okay, to get going with the prototype. The next step, the third step that you need to do is you need to pre-market. Okay, you need to start doing some pre-marketing. Now, the reason we say pre-marketing is because you've gone to all these steps. You have a problem, you have an MVP, you have an avatar, you have design. Now we need to determine if someone's going to actually buy this product. Don't assume that somebody's going to, I know you have a good idea. I have many good ideas that I've put out there and nobody used them. And so don't make the mistake I have made throughout my career. As a software engineer and as a developer, I can program anything. So if I come up with an idea, what I used to do is I'd come up with an idea and I just start programming it, and I put it in the App Store, or I put it on, the web, back when we did websites, and then no one would buy it. So I would be out hundreds of hours of my time, and most of the time my money as well, thinking this is a great idea, someone's going to buy it. And every time somebody saw it, they said it was a great idea, but nobody bought it. So pre-marketing. There's a number of ways you can do this. I'll just give you one. You could, in the days of social media right now, it's really effective to just create a Facebook page or an Instagram page and then drive traffic to it. Just run some ads to it. For $100, you could drive ads. Well, maybe you got to test the ad. So we'll say like $300. You run an ad and then you continue to test it out. If people start clicking on it and if people start showing an interest to buy, now you're onto something. You could create a down and dirty little website with like a Stripe payment on there and actually see if you could get payments for maybe something slightly related to your product. There's a lot of ways you can pre-market. We had a guy, he had an idea for an app. It was a real estate app. And so what we did is we actually put us on the real estate signs is where he wanted to market. So we put a sign on the real estate market that said text to this number. And then we just set up a Google phone number that anybody could text to, and it would route to our phones. And it turned out nobody was replying to the ad. So we knew we couldn't market in that area. So that's the third thing, pre-market, okay? I'm gonna have to erase this. So the next item that you're going to need to do in the process is number 4, which is specification. You need specifications, right? So you got a prototype, that's cool. But you can't just hand the prototype to a developer and say, go develop this, guys. We need actual product specifications. So again, everything we talked about so far doesn't require a lot of money. It does require a lot of time, but it doesn't require money. And it's going to get you to where you need to go. Once we get to developers, we're going to actually have to pay money. But right now, we're going to talk about specifications. Okay, so specification is just a document, and it's just going to tell you everything that the app actually does. So for instance, you could have the app. On the top could be a header, there could be a button, or we'll say that's an image of the user. So we just would go like this, user photo, right? And then we would just have arrows and then text of what all these elements do. And that's kind of our specification. Now, I've seen these done on Word documents. I've seen them done on PowerPoint. I've seen them super duper highly developed over like Visio or a similar software like that actually can do these and create high level specifications. So the level of detail you want to do here is up to you. If you have a simple app, there might only be 6 screens on your app and whatever the call outs are to do it. So varies by project size. Now, the 5th step is you need to detail all the tasks. You need detail tasks. Okay, that's the 5th step. Detailed tasks. Now, what the heck does that mean, right? So we have the specification. Can't we just give that over? Maybe, but detailed tasks would be better. So what we want to do is we want to take the specification, and let's just say it's the login screen. And we take just the first page of the specification is the login screen. And on the login screen, now we have all the tasks that go along with it. So we might say, we need to store this in the database. We need to create a database. We need to create web hosting. We need to create a URL. We need to get a logo. So all the tasks that you need. And the reason you want detailed tasks is there's 3 main reasons. One is so your developers can do estimates. So they can estimate the hours on the specific tasks, okay? Number 2 is you'll have the tasks individualized into what we call stories. So the developers can break down all the tasks. So number 1, they have all the tasks and they say like, this one takes 8 hours, this one takes 4 hours, this one takes 100 hours. And then the next thing we do is we have tasks, we have stories, we have detailed stories. So as they're developing, they can check off that they're done and they're not done. We're not done. And then the final thing, and this is very important, this is the most important, is the use cases. Okay, so we want use cases. This is ultimately what we're going to QA against. This is what our QA people, right? So you might have a site like let's say you have Uber. Uber has riders and drivers. So those are two separate use cases. If I'm a rider, I have to register. Once I register, I have to select a car. If I'm a driver, I have to register. Once I'm registered, I have to put the app in my phone in the car and then pick people up, right? So these are different use cases. So we're starting to detail all these tasks out, okay? And that's the next one, is to detail all the tasks out. So once we have the estimates, the time, well, we have the specification rather, we have detailed tasks in the estimates, so we know all the detailed tasks. We know the stories, we know what they actually, each one is, and then we have the use cases. Now, excuse me while I erase, we go to step number 6, which is finally development. Okay, so now we can start development. And our developers know exactly what we need to build. They have a prototype to go for, they have specifications, they have everything they need. So now we can start development. Once we start development, our 7th task is to manage that development. So we gotta manage the developers. But if we did a good job in step number 5, and we created detailed tasks and detailed stories, now we know how to manage them. And I have a management process. It's a standard management process that I use. Everybody in the industry uses it. Sprint planning, sprints, daily meetings, daily stand-ups. If you need more information on how to, actually for both of these, if you need more information on how to hire developers and how to manage developers, I'm your guy. I have hired and managed developers in the United States, Serbia, Eastern Europe, I guess that's Serbia, China, India. So I've done remote as well as here. It's a little different remote. It's cheaper. There's ups and downs to both of them. So if you need any help in either of these areas, hiring developers and managing projects and how to do that, I'm your guy, jeremycallahan.com. jeremycallahan.com. The 8th step in the process of developing apps, so now we manage it, we're developing, is to launch. And not only to launch, but more importantly, to market. Market your app, get people to use it. So earlier in the process, I was talking about another step. The other step was the pre-marketing in step 3. So pre-marketing is more than just finding a market. It's actually coming up with a marketing plan. So you don't want to get to 8 and think, we better figure out a way to market this thing. Heck, you don't even want to get to 6 or 7 and figure out how you're going to market. You better know how you're going to market this thing way back in step number 3. Okay, so these are just some of the high-level planning things that we're going to do. And then finally, now that we've launched and we've marketed, the final step is, it ain't over. It's never over. Okay? We are going to iterate. We're going to iterate. So again, we were talking about an MVP earlier. We always know that in the golf app that we're going to add more music for the putting and the other stuff, right? So now we're going to iterate. We're going to start that plan. Essentially, we're going to pretty much go back to the specification step, specify it, develop it, manage it, and then relaunch the app. And we're just going to iterate through this process over and over and over again and continue to roll out products. Now, high-level stuff here. This doesn't get into, marketing, keeping people coming back to the app, keeping people reusing the app, getting people to spend money, how to monetize apps. There's so many other topics, and I talk about them on the podcast all the time. This is to app or not to app. I appreciate you joining today. My name is Jeremy Callahan. I am the App Man. JeremyCallahan.com. I am here to help you with any and all steps related to not only mobile app planning, development, marketing, management of people, business development. I do a number of things related to apps. Please look me up. Please get in contact with me if you have any needs or need any help related to mobile or website or any other topics related to business that I could possibly help you with. Thank you for joining the show today.